Hello all. In today's video we are going to focus on ETL testing related interview questions and answers. These are the some we can say commonly asked questions or essential questions which are asked while giving the interview of ETL testing or related to ETL testing. So the first question is what is ETL? So mainly you have to answer this question like what is meant by ETL or what is the full form of ETL. So basically the ETL stands for the extract, transform and load. In data warehousing architecture, ETL is an important component which manages the data for any business process. So here extract, transform and load. Extract means it does the process of reading data from database, and transform means converting data into the format that could be appropriate for reporting and analysis. And while load means the process of writing the data into target database. This is nothing but the ETL. So basically you have to answer like ETL means ETL stands for the extraction, transformation and loading. And then you have to answer for what is meant by extraction, that is extracting data from different data sources. It may be a transactional system or application. Then transformation means you are applying the conversion rule on the data so that it becomes the suitable for analytical reporting. And loading means it is the process where it involves to move the data into a target system, that is data warehouse. This is the very simple concept of ETL. Then the next question, important question, is what is meant by ETL testing. So basically, as you have already know what is meant by ETL, then ETL testing it is done to ensure that the data is loaded from different source to a destination after the accurately business transformation. It involves basically the data verification at multiple stages that are being used between the source and the destination. Then the next question is what do ETL testing operation include? Means what it include basically this the answer of this ETL testing and the what operation include is the same one. So basically what you are verifying while doing the ETL testing is you have to answer. So what you are verifying? You are verifying whether the data is transformed accurately according to a business requirement, then verifying that the projected data is loaded into data warehouse without any truncation or data loss. Then you are verifying the data loads within the expected time frame, and you are also verifying that the application reports any invalid data and replace it with the default value. See, these are some verification, or you are making sure whether it is happening or not. These are the some operations which are included in ETL testing. Then the main question is you have to compare the ETL testing with the manual testing. So basically in ETL testing you are writing the script for automating the testing process, and in manual testing it is a method of observing and the testing. You are manually observing the operations, right? Then in ETL testing the main requirement here no need of any additional technical knowledge or other than understanding the software, but in manual testing you must have the knowledge of SQL and shell script. Then in ETL testing, as compared to the efficiency or as the aspect of efficiency, it is faster, and in manual testing it needs a time as all the activities you are doing manually. Then the next question is why ETL testing is required. So basically to keep an eye on the data that is being transferred from one system to another, to track the efficiency and to achieve the best result, this ETL testing is required. Then what are the responsibilities of ETL tester? As the ETL tester, you must have depth knowledge of ETL tools and process. Then you need to write the SQL queries for various scenarios during the testing phase. Then you must be able to carry out the different types of tests and keep check of other functionalities, and you need to carry out the quality and checks on the regular basis. These are the some responsibilities of ETL tester. Then, what are the commonly found ETL bugs? Or list down the few ETL bugs are like the source bug or load condition bug, then user interface bug, calculation bugs. These are the common bugs which are found during ETL testing. Then, what is mean by data purging? So basically, This data purging is the process of deleting data from data warehouse. It deletes junk data and link rows to the null values or to extract the spaces. This is nothing but the data purging. Then the next is what is staging area? Why it is needed? So basically, this staging area or the concept of staging area is nothing but where you can staging layer is used to store the data which is extracted from the different data sources. So this is nothing but the staging area where you can say the data staging is the area where you are holding the data temporarily on the data warehouse server, and data staging include the steps like source data extraction and data transformation. Then data transformation means data cleansing, value transformation, surrogate key assignments. These are the some data staging, or and this is very useful to hold the data temporarily. Then the next is what is meant by extraction, transformation and loading. As we have already seen this concept in what is meant by ETL or ETL testing, again we are focusing on the same. So basically extraction means you are extracting the data, right? This here data from external source, you are extracting it from external source and move it into a data warehouse and preprocessor database. Transformation means here the data task allows point to point generation, modifying and transforming data. And loading means in this task the data is added to the database, right, database table into a warehouse. Then what is mean by grain of fact? This is most commonly asked questions in ETL testing. What is meant by grain fact? The grain fact can be defined as a level at which the fact information is stored. So it is also known as a fact granularity. So basically what is meant by fact? So basically the fact is, you can say it's a central component of a multi-dimensional model which contains the measures to be analyzed. So these facts are related to dimension. So basically there are different types of fact like additive fact, semi-additive fact, non-additive fact. You can answer like this, means you can elaborate that the answer of the same question. Then the next main question is what are the cubes and OLAP cubes? So basically, the cubes and OLAP cubes. Firstly, you have to know what is meant by OLAP. So OLAP stands for the online analytical process, right? So the cubes and OLAP cubes means cubes are the data processing unit which comprise the fact tables and the dimensions from the data warehouse. It provides the multidimensional analysis, right? And OLAP stands for the online analytical processing, and online cube stores the large data in multiple dimensions from reporting purpose. So it consists of facts are called as a major categories by the dimensions. Then what is meant by fact and what are the types of fact? We have already seen the answer of the same. So what is meant by fact and the types of the fact, like additive fact, right, non-additive fact. These are the some types of the fact, right? And basically you have to focus or you have to answer the this question is like fact is the central component of multidimensional model which contains the measures to be analyzed, and types like additive, semi-additive and non-additive. These are the types of fact. Then what is meant by transformation? Transformation is a repository object which generate, modifies or pass the data. Transformations are of two types, that is active and passive transformation. Then the next is what is three layer architecture of ETL cycle. So basically the three layers are staging layer, data integration layer and access layer. These are the three layers of ETL cycles. So first is staging layer, means staging layer is used to store the data which is extracted from different data source system. And data integration layer means integration layer transforms the data from the staging layer and moves the data to the database, right? And access layer means access layer is used to end user to retrieve the data from analytical reporting. Then what is meant by bus schema? for various business process to identify the common dimensions. The bus schema is used. So it comes with the conformed dimensions along with the standardized definition of information. Then what are the types of data warehousing application, and or what is the main difference between data warehouse and data mining? So first we'll focus on what are the different applications of data warehouse. So basically the different data warehouse like information processing, analytical processing, data mining are the applications of data warehouse, right? And the difference between data warehouse and data mining means, so basically that the data warehouse and data mining means the data warehouse where it loads the different data into database, right? And data mining means, in data mining you are, it is defined as the process of extracting hidden predictive information from large database and interpret the data, while data warehousing may make use of a data mine for analytical processing of the data in a faster way. Data warehouse is the process of aggregating data from multiple sources into one common repository. Then, what is meant by factless schema and fact schema? So, basically, this factless schema and what are its different measures? So, basically, the factless fact schema means a fact table without measures is known as a factless fact table. It can view the number of occurring events. For example, it is used to record an event such as employee count in the company. So the numeric database on the column in fact table is known as a measures. So whatever will be the numeric database on based on the column in fact table is known as a measures. Then the next is what is meant by BI. So the BI is nothing but the business intelligence. It is the process of collecting raw business data and transforming it into a meaningful vision that is more useful for the business. Then what is meant by the schema object? So basically the schema objects are the logical structure that is directly refer to a database data. So this schema object may include the tables, views, indexes, clusters, functions package and the database links. Then what is meant by staging area and what is the purpose of staging area? We have already seen what is meant by staging area. The staging is an area where you are holding the data temporarily, right? On the data warehouse. So it include the restructuring, data cleaning, value transformation. These are the activities. Then the next is what is the difference between ETL and BI tools, right? So or you can say what is meant by, as we have already seen, ETL means extraction, transformation and loading, BI means business intelligence. So it they are using the different tools for analysis purpose, right? So what is the main difference between these two tools? So the ETL tools are used to extract the data from different data sources, transform the data and load the data into data warehouse system, right? And while BI tools are used to generate the interactive and ad hoc reports for the end user, data visualization for monthly, quarterly, and annually board meetings, right? So mostly ETL tools are the different examples of ETL tools are like SAP, right? Microsoft SSIS, Oracle, like, and BI tools examples like IBM Cognos, then Microsoft BI platform, Tableau are the some BI tools, right? Then what are the ETL tools? Which are the different ETL tools are available into the market? Like the famous tools are like IBM WebSphere data stage, then Informatica, Power Center, SAP, SAS, Data Integration Studio, Oracle, and the open source Clover ETL are the some famous tools which are available in the market. There are so many tools are available, but these are the some famous you can see, right? Then what is the difference between Power Mart and Power Center? So basically the Power Mart or Power Center, the difference is, suppose this power center. Uh, Power center basically supposed to process the huge volume of data, right? And it power mart supposed to process the low volume of data. It is the main difference. Then what happens in the power mart? So basically in power mart it support the ERP sources such as SAP, PeopleSoft, etc. And the next power center does not support the ERP source. Basically, Power Mart convert the local into global repository, and Power Center it has no significance to convert the local into global repository. Then the next is why we need the staging area in ETL processing. So basically, the staging area is a central area which is available between the data source and data warehouse. So it is the place where data is stored temporarily is the main or basic concept. So this staging area is designed to provide the many benefit, but the primary goal is to use the staging area. It is used to increase the efficiency and ensure the data integrity and support the data quality operations. These are the some basic advantages, or we can say the need of ETL staging area in the ETL. Then the main question is uh, what is the difference between data warehouse and data mining? As we have already seen the concept of data warehousing and mining, so the main difference is in data warehousing is a broad concept as compared to data mining. In data mining what happen, it involves extracting the hidden information from the data and interpreting it for the future forecasting. In contrast, in data warehousing what happen, it includes the operations such as analyzing the report to generate the detailed report and ad hoc report, then information processing to generate the interactive dashboards and the charts. Then the next question is what are the terms session, workload, maplet, and workflow? So basically, first is what is meant by session. It is the set of parameter that tells the server how to move data from source to target. And in workload, it represents the specific set of tasks given. In maplet, it arranges or create the set of transformation. And in workflow what happen, it set of the instructions that tell the server how to execute the task. Then what is the difference between OLTP and OLAP? So OLTP stands for the online transaction processing and OLAP stands for the online analytical processing. So basically OLTP is the relational database and that is used to manage the day-to-day transaction, and OLAP is the multi-dimensional system and it is also called as a data warehouse. Then what is a dimensional table and how it is different from the fact table? So basically I will give you here one example. So, for example, what is meant by data dimensional table is distinguished from the fact table. For example, you can say you are having one company, right? And you are selling the different products to the customer. So, every sale is the fact which occurs within the company. And the fact table is used to record these facts. So, each fact table stores the primary key that joins the fact table with the dimensional table or the fact. So for example the fact unit or fact table contains, you can say, the customer, then the number of units sold, right? So these are the this is the relation between dimensional table and the fact table, right? So dimensional table stores the attributes or the dimensions that describes in the fact table. It is the set of company tables to the fact table. So for example, in one table it is storing the customer ID, then product ID and number of units sold, right? And in another table it is storing the customer ID, customer name, or the detailed information related to the customer. So this is the dimensional table, and in fact unit it is indicating the number of units sold or the number of products sold. So this is the relation between fact table and the dimensional table. Then what is meant by data mart? So basically, data mart is the simple form of data warehouse and it is focused on the single functional area. It get only from the few sources. For example, in organization, the data mart may exist for the marketing, finance, human resource and other individual department which stores the data related to specific function. Then what is meant by tracking level and what are the types? So tracking level means it is tracking level is the amount of data stored in a log file, and tracking level can be classified into two, normal and verbose. So normal level means there are two types, that is normal and verbose. So normal levels explain the tracking level in the detailed manner, and while verbose explains the tracking level in a each and every row. Then what is the difference between manual testing and ETL testing? So basically, in manual testing, focus on the functionality of a program or software, and while ETL testing is related to database and its count. Then the next question is, what is cubes and OLAP? Cubes, basically cubes are the data processing unit, right? And OLAPs means online analytics processing. And OLAP cubes, this OLAP cube stores the large data in multi-dimensional form for reporting purpose. Is the main, you can say, difference between cubes and OLAP cubes. Then the next question is, what is the responsibility of ETL tester? As we have already seen, what are the tasks done by the ETL tester? So the main responsibility is stage table, business logic transformation, then target table loading from the staging table. Once we apply the transformation, then the another responsibility like ETL tester tests the ETL software thoroughly. Then this tester need to check the test component, then they have to execute the data driven test in the backend. Then they tester creates the design and execute the test cases, test plans and test harness. This tester need to identify the problem, right, and will suggest the best solution. Then a tester transfers the data from flat file, then they write the different SQL queries for different test scenario. They need to approve the requirement and design specification. These are the some responsibilities of ETL tester. Then what is the need of ETL testing? So basically the ETL testing is used to keep, you can say, to keep track and the efficiency of the process. Then to means for example, we are migrating a lot from system from old technology to new technology. So at that time the migration activities like migrating data, so from old database to latest database or new database. So lot of the main need of ETL testing is there. Then we have already seen the difference between data mining and data warehousing. So basically this but we are adding some points here like what are the different types of data warehouse application like information processing, analytical processing and data mining. Then the next is how, uh, what is the, where the user use the ETL concept. So basically, before ETL tools, user writes the extended code for the data transformation to load the data. But ETL makes life compatible, or you can say it has providing a very easy solutions. One tool can manage all the scenarios for transformation and loading of the data. Then how we use the ETL in third party management. So this is the main question here. The big organization always gives you a different application development to different kinds of vendors, right? So a single vendor cannot manage everything. So here we are taking means here different vendors are there, right? So they are using different applications. So there uh, means you at that time the another company means one company is managing the billing activity, one company is managing the CRM activity. So CRM company need a data from the billing company. So who is managing the billing? Now this company will receive the data feed from another company. To load that data from ETL process is used, means to, you can say, for sharing that particular data this ETL is used. Then how the ETL, how we use ETL in data warehousing. So basically ETL is used in the data warehousing. User fetch the historical data as well as the current or the recent data for developing a data warehouse. So data in data warehouse is the combination of historical data as well as the transactional data. So data source of the data warehouse might be different. So here we need to fetch the data from multiple different systems and load it into a single target system. It's called as a data warehousing. Then what is the difference between ETL testing and database testing? So basically the ETL testing is the goal of ETL testing is reporting a business intelligence, and database testing the goal is to integrate the data. So ETL testing is a in ETL testing dimensional model is used, and in database testing relational model is used, right? Then what is the characteristics of data warehouse? Different characteristics are like the data warehouse helps the business user to current trend to run business. Then it is used for data analysis and reporting purpose. It helps higher management to take a strategic and tactical decisions, right? Then data warehouse is a database which different from the operational database and stores the historical data. Then what are the different types of the data warehouse system? So basically different types are OLAP, that is online analytical processing, then predictive analysis, online transactional processing, and data mart. These are the different types of data warehouse system. Then what is the advantage of using data reader destination adapter? So basically the advantage of using the data reader destination adapter is that it populate an ADO record set which consists of records and columns in the memory and expose the data from a data flow task by implementing data reader interface so that the other applications can consume the data. Then next question is what are the steps followed in the ETL testing process? So basically it includes the five steps. First is requirement analysis. So here we need to understand the business structures, then validate the test estimation. An estimation of time and the expertise is required in this step. And the third is the test planning and decision, designing the testing environment. So it includes the based on validation test estimation. Here the environment of ETL is planned according to input which is used in the test estimation and work according to that. Then in test data preparation and execution, as per test data is prepared and execute as per requirement. And summary report on the completion of the test run, a summary report is need to be prepared for conducting for conclusion or to check whether in which area the improvisation is included or we need it. Then what is the difference between OLAP tool and ETL tool? So basically the ETL and OLAP tools, in ETL tool is used for extraction of data from the system and load it into specific database, right? So for example data stage informatica are some examples, right? It is also used for cleansing of the data, and while OLAP means for reporting purpose is used in data available in multiple directional models. So business object cognos are the some examples of ETL tool. Then how ETL tool is used in a data migration project? So basically in ETL tools are generally used in a data migration project if any organization is managing the data in Oracle TNG previously, right? And now this organization want to use a SQL server or cloud database. So there is a need to move the data from source to target. For this kind of movement, these ETL tools are very useful. Means basically for moving the data from current previous database to current database, this particular ETL is used. So then the next question is, in what case do you use the dynamic cache and static cache in connected and unconnected transformation? So basically, dynamic cache is used when you have to update the master table and slowly changing the dimensions. And for flat files and for flat file, the static cache is used. Then what are the steps to follow to choose the ETL process? So basically, in it is very difficult task to choose the ETL tool, right? So because to select the correct ETL tool we need to consider the lot of factor or many factors. So ETL tool is for specific project is very strategic to move. So here some points you have to focus while choosing the ETL tool, like data connectivity, then performance, transformation, data quality, flexible data action options, and committed ETL vendors. Then what is the partitioning, hash partitioning, and round robin partitioning? So to basically to improve the performance, transactions are subdivided. It is called as a partitioning. So partitioning enables the Informatica server for creating a multiple connections to various sources. So types are round robin partition. Here by Informatica data is distributed evenly among all partitions in round robin. Okay, so and in hash partitioning, what happens here? For purpose of partitioning the key to group data amongst the partitioning, Informatica server applies the hash function. Then simple partitioning means here you're partitioning the transactions are subdivided. Then what are the different ETL bugs? The source bug, load condition bug, ECP related bug, user interface bug, calculation bugs are the some different ETL bugs. Then how you can extract the SAP data using Informatica? So basically, with the power connected option, you can extract the SAP data using Informatica. Then to connect and import the source from external system, the power connect is used. Then what is operations in data source? So basically, ODS stands for Operation Data Source, right? So this ODS works between the staging area and the data warehouse. The data is ODS will be in the level of granularity. Next is what is the difference between unconnected and connected lookup? So basically, connected lookup participates in the mapping, and unconnected use when lookup function is used instead of expressions transformation while mapping. So here in what happens in connected lookup supports the user defined default value, and unconnected lookup does not support the user defined default values. Then what is the data extraction phase in ETL? So data extraction is nothing but it extracting the data from multiple different sources using ETL tool. So there are two types of extraction, that is full and partial. In full extraction, it extract the data from operational system or the source system and load it to the staging area. And partial extraction, sometimes we get the notification from the source system to update the specific area is called as a data load. Then what is the ETL tools? Like there are actually the different ETL tools like Informatica, then Talent, IBM, data stage, then MS SQL Server integration service, Clover ETL. Then some open source ETL tools are also available like Pentaho, Kettle are the some ETL tools. Then what is the data? Explain what is data source view. So basically, the data source view means in data source view it allow to define the relational schema which will be used in the analysis, then service database. Rather than directly from data source object, dimensions and cubes are created from the data source view. Then the next question is, in case you have non OLDB, that is object linking and embedding database source for the lookup, what would you do? So basically then you have to use the cache to load the data and use it as a source. What is the partitioning in ETL? As we have already seen, the transactions are need to be subdivided for the better partitioning, better performance. So transaction is subdivided is known as a partitioning. So the next is explain what is the ETL testing operation include. So basically verify whether the data transforming correctly according to a business requirement. Then you are making sure the ETL application reports invalid data and replace with the default values. And you are also making sure that data load at the expected time. Then what is ETL pipeline? So basically the ETL pipeline refers to a set of process to extract the data from one system and transform it and load it into some database or the data warehouse. So this ETL pipeline are built for the data warehouse application, which include both enterprise data warehouse as well as subject specific data mart. Then what is data pipeline? So data pipeline refers to the any set of a process element that moves data from one system to another. This data pipeline can be built for any kind of application which you use to data to bring the value. It can be used for integrating data across the application. So you can say they build the data driven web product and carrying out the data mining activities. Then the next is What is staging place in the ETL testing? Staging place is the temporary storage area which is used during the data integration process. In the place, the data is analyzed carefully for redundancy and application. Then, using SSIS, that is SQL Server Integration Service, what are the possible ways to update the table? So basically, to update the table, the possible ways are use SQL command, then use staging table, use cache, use script task, use full database name for updating if MS SQL is used. Then what is ETL mapping sheet and define its significance? So basically ETL mapping sheet contain all necessary information from the source file and stores the detail in row and column. And in mapping sheet, it helps in the writing SQL queries to speed up the testing process. Then what is the transformation in ETL testing? So transformation is defined as a achieve object to generate, modify or pass the data. Here transformation can be active or passive. It can be beneficial in many ways. It helps in getting the values very quickly. The transformation update the slowly changing the dimension table. Then the next is what is the use of dynamic cache and static cache. So basically dynamic cache is used to update the dimension or master table slowly, and this static cache is used in the flat file. Next is what is mean by mapping, workflow, session, worklet and maplet. So mapping represents the workflow from source to target. Workflow is a set of instructions which tells the informatica server how to execute the task. Maplet configures or creates the set of transformation. Worklet is an object that represents the set of tasks, and session is the set of instructions that describe how and when to move the data from source to target. Then what is the full load and incremental or refresh load? So basically full load completely erase the content of one or more tables and reload with the fresh data. Incremental load, this in this we apply ongoing changes to one or more table which is based in the predefined schedule. Then the next is what is mean by joiner and lookup? So basically the joiner is used to join two or more tables to retrieve data from table, and lookup is used to check and compare the source table and target table. Then the next is explain the use of lookup transformation. The lookup transformation is useful for getting related values from table using column value. Then update it slowly changing dimension and verify whether record is already exist in the table. Then the next is what is meant by data purging. So it is you can, as this is very commonly used term where this method is used to remove or permanently erase the data from storage spaces. So basically data purging is the process of cleaning the junk file. Then what is difference between different ETL tools and the OLAP tool? Informatica is one example of ETL tool, and OLAP tool the business object or cognos. Then what is meant by dimensions? The dimensions are the groups or the category through which the summarized data is stored. And what is meant by staging area? Referring to the staging area is the place where data is stored temporarily in the process of data integration. And what is meant by ETL mapping sheet? The ETL mapping sheet contain all the required information from the source file.